This is Seance, a spooky card with an interesting Magic the Gathering backstory. In today's video, I want to talk to you about one of the largest collections of a singular card ever seen in a photograph. Where did it come from? Why does it exist? And why did someone buy 10,000 copies of Seance for $2.5 grand? And even more intriguingly, why would one individual want to pay a pro $38,000 to play Seance at a Pro Tour back in 2015. This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com. So if you're looking to buy seances, for example, or any Magic the Gathering cards, singles or sealed product, use the code KENOBI at checkout to help support the show and to get your stuff with a 5% discount. Seance is a Dark Ascension rare that saw virtually no play in its time in Standard. It looks to exile a creature from your graveyard each turn and make a copy of it that disappears at the end of turn. So essentially you get to reuse the Enter the Battlefield effects of things like Mag Tusks, Angel of Serenities, or in more recent times in meme builds by Saffron Olive, Siege Rhino. People tried to play it in Standard as a sideboard value engine. There was a Reanimator deck at the time, I played it, but Arboreal Rites was just better. It gave you 2 shots of this, and you got a creature that stuck around to attack and to block with. Seance was both more fragile and less versatile. And Saffron Olive has played this meme deck in multiple videos. I'm pretty sure I've played it either in a video or on stream a long fucking time ago. The card is one of those cards that feels like it's close to being good. It feels like it's only an inch or two, a new card or two away from being an engine piece like a Birthing Pod or a Fires of Invention, but of course not ban-worthy in formats like those. So I mentioned them because they're 4-mana engines, but this is, I feel like it should be one of those, but it never ever was. So a quirky 4-mana enchantment, what's the big deal? Well, 8 years ago, a Reddit user by the name of Jobs141910 offered Bitcoin on the subreddit Jobs for Bitcoins for people to film themselves destroying seances, preferably by fire, which got him the nickname Burn Guy. In this post, they note that they were trying to get Redditors to buy out Channel Fireball prior to this, but CFB got wise to it. They offered money for video proof of burning cards and called the whole thing an experiment. And from the looks of the edits and the replies, it appears that all $1,200 of his budget, or their budget should I say, was fully used. Keep in mind that towards the end of this year, this was back in the March time I think, but towards the end of this year, 1 Bitcoin was worth around 420 bucks. That means this is around 3 Bitcoin, which by today's standards is $68,520 of Bitcoin. If there's anything we can learn from this particular anecdote, it's that investing in Bitcoin back in 2015 was more advantageous or had a better return than investing in a 4-mana white rare from Dark Ascension that ends up doing not a whole lot in a game of Magic. Is that really the takeaway I want from this video? That Bitcoin is good? No. Anyway, April 2015, and from this price history graph we can see on MTG Goldfish that the card did spike in price a little bit to over $1. That's almost a 50% increase. But I don't think that was because of the destruction of a load of them, because there was no demand for them, so the supply got smaller, sure. But I think the collective Magic community did see this meme. I remember seeing it at the time too. When I was going through looking up my notes for this sort of stuff, I found a couple of replies in some of the Reddit threads that I had upvoted probably 8 years ago. It's weird what you don't remember, right? In essence, I believe people bought into the meme, or at least tried to help with the manipulation via buyouts themselves. There was an extra factor beyond the simple destruction of them, which is interesting because the destruction may not even be the end goal. That might just be the fanciful way of getting eyes on the prize to start the PR ball rolling, which I think is fascinating. But this was just the beginning. Jobs141910, who is now better known as Seance Guy, or to old school Magic players, maybe perhaps Burn Guy, but he waited until December for their next move, posting on December 9th that they were willing to pay 90.5 Bitcoins, which was at the time $38,000, to anyone currently qualified for the Pro Tour to build and pilot a Seance deck at the event. As a note, that 90.5 Bitcoin right now, well, that's 2.06 million pounds for us wonky-teethed tea-drinking Brits, or $2.65 million for those of you living under the oppressive weight of Freedom, Fox News, and high fructose corn syrup. For the record, the offer was actually redacted and not acted upon due to legal concerns, so it wasn't as successful of an experiment as the first one. The rumours at the time suggest that Wizards of the Coast told players they were not allowed to engage with these kind of outside deals when partaking in the Pro Tour. How true that is, I don't know. I could have looked up which pros had qualified for the 2015-2016 Pro Tour season and approached them to ask them, especially some of the ones that aren't in competitive Magic now wouldn't be scared to mention that, but some of them probably wouldn't have wanted to talk about it because of their current relationship with Wizards trying to get back into competitive Magic. And also, let's not pretend I'm a journalist, I'm a fucking YouTuber. All I do is scratch my ass and talk to camera all day, am I right? So why the fuck was one man on such a mission to fuck with the price of Seance? Well, the obvious motivation would be money, right? That's the motivation for most things. They may have wanted to pump the price of Seance up, so when they bought a load early on when it was cheap, they can then sell at the higher price and make a profit. The second motive suggested by the original Seance Guy posting to Reddit was that this was well and truly an experiment. We always have to take the OP's word with a pinch of salt, of course, as he might be throwing out red herrings in order to profit from this and not give on to the full intent of what they're doing. But in a rather believable post on Reddit, they explained that this was part of an experiment and that the card is obviously bad, and that in essence, they were trying to see what one person with some cash can do to the price of a currently bulk Magic the Gathering card. The most interesting part of the explanation that Seance Guy gives is that they talk about how this probably won't change the price of it, and one of the big barriers to this is that Seance is a bulk bin card. A card that probably sits in reasonably large quantities in the bulk bins of local game stores across, well, the world, and that the fact that it wasn't moving enough would encourage people to dig them out and put them up to market to be able to sell them. The issue with this barrier or this problem put forth by the experiment, bearing in mind I'm only a dog scientist, so my scientific reasoning might be a bit lax here, but firstly, if you manage to pump the price of it by the destruction of them, by the increased playability of it by a Pro Tour, or by just making the whole thing a meme that people buy into, that would then push it out of bulk territory. That would make people go and find them and sell them. That's the bulk to $2 card to, you know, competitive staple pipeline, if you will. And secondly, if that is a problem for the experiment, would it not have been better to start the experiment with a card that wasn't completely utter dog shit? Wouldn't it have been better to start with something that was already $2 or $3 and sort of fringe play and try to push it to be more scarce but still desirable, or more desirable for the Pro Tour scheme? Wouldn't that have been the better way to do the experiment? Well, it would have been, of course. All those things make sense if it weren't for the fact that I believe at this point Seance Guy had already bought a shit ton of seances. I first believe that because of the want to increase the price, and secondly because of what's coming up. But at that point, the trail runs cold. Seance Guy disappears. Until Model Masters 2017, the third to return to the formula hit store shelves on Friday the 17th of March 2017. Seance Guy shows back up on Magic Reddit and explains that he's willing to give Reddit Gold, which is some weird badge of honor you get from people for posting good shit on Reddit, in exchange for evidence of a destroyed playset of seances or a destroyed foil seance. For the most part, gold was given away, and there's a thing where if you didn't want Reddit Gold or you already had it, you could have that money via Bitcoin again, given to a charity that accepts Bitcoin. Reasonably wholesome exchange. Was Seance Guy trying to spike the price again after a reprint was looking to crash it? Seance had climbed a little, being as high as $1 at some times, but mainly being around a 60-cent meme rare. In many ways, the Model Masters 3 reprint had dashed any hopes that Seance investment would have paid off. But what if it wasn't about money? What if there was a third possible motive? What if it was about power? Seance is a card that depicts denizens of Innistrad looking to contact the afterlife through a communal ritual. What if there is more power to this than we think? Than what meets the eye or a simple gander at a Reddit post? What if the satanic panic of the 90s had some merit? What if a large enough concentration of a singular spell could evoke the concept or the power behind said spell? What if through the destruction of other copies of Seance, Highlander style, you know, the one where Sean Connery has a Scottish accent but plays a character called the Spaniard, but Highlander style, through the destruction of other seances, it supercharges the current seances. When you get enough together, you can unlock that power. Maybe Seance Guy was trying to contact a deceased loved one. Maybe they were trying to get in contact with people in the afterlife to share their secrets, to share and to behold knowledge lost to the withering of the mortal coil. Maybe, just maybe, there's something more nefarious, something more mysterious, something more arcane to Seance Guy. His fucking name is Seance Guy. And that was that. Another 6 years passed and Seance Guy remained dormant, inactive on Reddit, lurking in the shadows and fading away into obscurity. New players came to the game, joining via Arena or through the Commander products, having no idea what Modern even is, or why Saffron Olive loves fucking seances, or never having seen the infamous Dark Ascension rare. And then, one cold January morning, Reddit user Born from Legends posts to the main subreddit with evidence of someone trying to sell 10,000 copies of Seance on Facebook Marketplace for $25,000, around $4 a seance. This is a wild lot to come across from a collector's perspective, but ultimately 10,000 copies of any Magic card is actually an insane collection that you just don't see. The Reddit post, just to be clear, calls Seance Guy the Burn Guy here, because that was the original Reddit born name for them, because they wanted to burn these cards, or have other people burn these cards. I prefer the name Seance Guy because it doesn't sound like the person who comes to FNM, goes 0-3 and always wins the wooden spoon. And yes, that was a burn towards burn players. The fascinating thing about this is if it is around 10,000, it's 10,000 plus, so it might be more than that, but it's 10,000 copies of Seance. A moment ago, I said that the cards were worth around $4 a pop with that math. I'm gonna leave that in, so mainly because I don't want to make the editor have to go back and, I'm not even sure which part I said that in. Either way, that's not the math. And if you comment down below already saying that's the math, not the math, I'm sorry that I've now corrected myself 2 or 3 paragraphs later. What can I say? I'm a fraud and a shill. It's actually 25 cents a rare. And originally what I had in this part of the video was like, actually $4 a rare is incredible, because that means that weirdly this whole meme, this whole experiment end up paying off. But ultimately, selling them at 25 cents a rare is kind of where it's at now anyway. A few months pass from January and we get Dave from 8th Place Dave going out and buying the collection. And it's an insane collection. The video is worth a look and I'll link to it in the description below, but Dave explains that it was too big to collect in one checked baggage due to weight allowances, had to be in 2 checked bags, and they flew out to Canada, or this part of Canada, to buy this from the seller. There were a few hundred foil seances and even 8 artist proofs, 4 signed, 4 not, of the card. An artist proof is a magic card with no magic back. These are given to artists who did the art for the cards by Wizards of the Coast and are sold by said artists at conventions usually. To get multiple of these would be a little bit costly. These can be anywhere between like 20 and 30 pounds up to like 60 pounds. This one here is an Urza's Saga. I got this off of Titus Lindner at Command Fest London. I love it. It's going to one of my Commander decks. They aren't tournament legal. They're also missing a hollow foil stamp, as you can see on the front there. And they are quite interesting oddities to have in terms of for a collection. So to have 8 of them is fascinating. The most interesting part of all this is Dave, it says in the video, that the seller claims to not be the original Seance Guy. Instead got his strange collection from a store liquidation locally when it went into administration in Alberta, Canada. Whether this is just the mysterious Seance Guy pretending not to be Seance Guy, or perhaps this is 8th Place Dave being in the pocket of Big Seance. Whether any of that is true is part of the mystery to me, and I love it. In some ways, I kind of hope that this is just one Seance collection from another person who jumped on the meme and somehow acquired an ungodly amount of seances, and this isn't a scratch on the actual Seance Guy collection. I want to imagine the Seance Guy collection is still out there, like El Dorado City of Gold style thing, like a fucking Scrooge McDuck vault that you could dive into, or it's to the rafters in an old dusty library somewhere. I want to believe there's 100,000 seances out there somewhere, and it's going to be discovered in like 10 years. Seance Guy, wherever you are, thank you so much for making a fantastic and wholesome and kind of mysterious meme out of a shitty 4-mana reanimated spell from Dark Ascension. It's wicked, thank you. And that brings us to a close. What can we do from here? Well, I was considering asking every person watching this video just to go online and buy themselves 4 copies of Seance. If we could collectively just start buying it out and make it this weird thing that no one is playing it, but we're all buying it. But then I thought, actually, I don't want another call to action you all ignore, because my ego can't take it. It's just you'll buy my playmats when they're in stock. No one fucking bought them. However, if you did want to buy seances, well, Cool Stuff Inc. does have a couple hundred in stock right now. Use the code Kenobi at checkout to help support the show and get 5% off your order. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know what you think down below. Is there another meme or big story you'd like me to cover to give a little history lesson in the annals of Magic the Gathering's mimetic history? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.